Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. It's a lovely day here in South Australia and I've been out to pick up some encyclopedias. Yes, more encyclopedias. And I've been out in the garden, so I thought it was time to come in and have a bit of a rest and do some crafting. Now, last week I made this altered puzzle piece. It was for a group challenge that I did it and I really liked the way it turned out. Now, I thought some of you may be interested in how I went about this. So very, very easy it was. And I really loved the papers that I used on it, and they were from a paper pad, well, not a paper pad, they were individual sheets. They were Pastime Crafts papers. Now, I know one of the cheap shops here stock these for about $4 a pack or something. I'm not sure if it's just the one pack or I've got a few packs here, but they're beautiful papers and I've just been hoarding them. So I thought it'd be good to drag them out and do something with them. Okay, so I found these puzzle pieces. They were in the bin at the bookstore. So I dragged them out and I thought, well, they're nice big ones. So I thought they'd be good to alter, which they are. So I might grab a couple of those out. I went for the corner piece because it gave me a bit of room to stick my little bits and pieces. So I'm thinking this piece will be good too. So I might go for the ones that have, you know, that bit more room on them. So maybe we'll do two today. So my paper pad, you can see here where I cut out one of the sections for the previous one, and this was the paper. So you can see the birds there, and then it would have been that bird that I cut out and stuck down there. So I've still got heaps of the paper to use for collaging or other projects. Anyway, I thought I might try and do one of the different ones. So this one has a really cute bird on it too, which I can cut out. So, and maybe a couple of the flowers, just for some height and texture sort of. So I might keep two of them. This one's beautiful too, isn't it? Now, we'll look at sizing. I might be able to get him. I think he might fit all right on there. Not sure if we'll get the flowers that we want, but we can always fussy cut a few others and stick them on afterwards. And then this one's a bit bigger, so let's have a look. I think he's going to sit on there quite nicely as well. So I'll grab a couple of those in case we need them. Just put this to the side. So it's good I can see the picture through the back of this because I want to line it up so that we know we're getting it on there. So I think about that will do. So I'm just tracing around the outline. And then of course you've got to cut that out. So I'll find my little scissors. So I'll just sort of cut on the line. If I go in a little bit, it's not going to matter because usually I've got a bit too much of an overhang that I have to trim after. So I will continue doing this and be back. And I don't know where my brain is today because, of course, that one will fit on there, but the base isn't going to cover the whole lot of the puzzle piece. So what I might do for this one is do a section from the middle here as the background, and then I can fussy cut that bird and any flowers that I want onto that piece afterwards. I think that might work a bit better. So what I will do is turn this over. And again, I can see the bird there. So I might get away with just using one piece for this, we'll see. Yeah, so that's going to work all right. And then again, I'll just trace around the outside of the jigsaw piece. Okay, so I finished cutting out our jigsaw shapes. They look like they're going to fit just nicely. Like so. Now I've got to think about any extra bits I want to add. Is this paper for that first one? So I think we will fussy cut out our bird. Just thinking, what part of him do I want to fussy cut? I don't think I want to fussy cut his legs. Seems a bit painful. So I might do around there and his body and not his legs. All right, so that's the bit of the bird I've cut out. So he will sit on the top there. And we might even lift him up a bit probably. I could do just the interior of this big rose, not the outer petals, but the interior, because that looks easy enough to fussy cut. So I will cut some of that out. Like that. Now let's see what we're left with. So that bit. I don't think we'll lift it up too much though, because I think it'll look a bit weird, but I do like bending it up a bit. It just creates a bit of height. So I've got the little burn and we've got that. Just thinking I might look at one of the other butterflies on the other pages. It's a pretty yellowy orange one there, so I might use him. As I said, I'm sort of just tacking little bits out of all the pages, which seems like a bit of a waste, but I'll definitely use the other bits for this and that. So that's what he's like with his antennae on. Yeah, I'm going to have to chop him off, I think. He looks nice over there, doesn't he? Although you don't notice him as much over there. Although I probably will ink him. Let's have a look. Could just take... Doesn't look too bad like that. So they're the bits that we will use. Maybe that little flower bud too. Could just do this forever, I tell you, and put, you could layer up heaps, but for the video's sake I will keep it simple, and for my sake too. Got dishes to do. They were last on my list of what I must do today was the dishes. I'm prioritising. Tell you what, I was had a bit of a whoopsie in the craft room last night. I had a couple of friends come over to craft with me last week, so of course we all need a chair to sit on. So I gave one of them the chair that I usually use, and I pulled in another one of the sort of office chairs for the other lovely lady to sit on. And then I grabbed one for myself that used to be my son's, and I think we got it for 20 bucks, new, real cheapy. And the back had already broken off of it, so it was sort of more like a stool. So I was using that, and I hadn't bothered swapping them back over, so I was using that last night, and while I was sitting on, oh no, two of the back legs decided to break, so yeah. On my way down, I tried to grab my desk and my calyx unit behind me, which is probably a bit of a silly idea. Yeah, but it didn't save me, so I ended up on the floor. And then I was like shielding myself because I wasn't sure what was going to fall on me off of the calyx unit or the desk. Fortunately, it was just one journal, so that's okay. That was pretty soft. So I was watching like Chicago Med on Netflix, and I ended up just staying on the floor for about half an hour watching it because I was in shock. before I got up to assess any injury, but I was fine, so that's good. Yeah, that little bit looks good too. Okay, so that will be our first one. I'll just move him to the side if I can without losing all these bits and pieces. And then we've got to do something similar for the second one. So we know we want the bird. We might be able to get all the bits out of this one piece. So I'm just looking at him, thinking how I'm going to, whether I need his feet and that stick or not. We'll see what we can do. So I'll just rough cut at the moment. And then I'll go and fussy cut him and a few of the other bits, and I will show you what I've cut out once it's done, rather than making you watch me all over again. Okay, so I cut my bird out, and I cut some of these little flowers out here, and I cut a couple of the roses out. I didn't do too much more. He sort of just looks like he's plopped there, but that's all right. I think it will still look kind of good, and I just don't want to spend too much time on it. I'll never get this tutorial done for you. So the next thing we have to do is prep the pieces that we've cut. We have to stick our backing onto the jigsaw pieces, and we'll also go over the little pieces before we stick them down. So what I use to do that is I have gloss Modge Podge here. Now I've collected a lot of Modge Podge, mainly from the second-hand shops, and I haven't been using it much because I've used it for things in my journals, and here where I live it stays sticky and it's a real problem. So I've been trying to think of ways I can use it up without having to use it for things in my journals. So this was a really good project to use some of it up on. So I'll just give it a bit of a shake because it was a bit watery the other day because I hadn't used it for, I don't know, since I got it a couple of years ago. So I've also got a little jar of water, and I've just got an old rubbishy paintbrush here. I prefer to use that for my glues and that. Now you do see the lines in it because of the paintbrush that I'm using, but I actually liked that effect on my other one. So we'll do that again. So what I will do is carefully try not to lose all my bits and pieces and tip them off in a pile and try and remember where I want them. And we'll stick our bases down first. So I've just got this little palette thing that I use to put my glues and paints in. I'm just going to squeeze some Modge Podge into that. Probably need a bit here. And I'm just going to give the jigsaw piece quite a generous coating, and then we'll put the paper on top. Making sure I get it to the edges. Probably dry pretty quick because it's quite warm here today, so I've got to work quickly with this. Get it everywhere and all in my fingers and everywhere it's not meant to be. I might just get off the edges after. So I'm going to dunk my paintbrush straight into the water. Put this down here. Get Modge Podge all over everything. And then try and get this on so it's fitting right. At least we have a bit of wiggle room with the Modge Podge. It's not looking too bad. All right, now I've got a tissue here. I'm just going to, got these edge bits where I got a bit too much Modge Podge. Now run my fingers around, make sure it's stuck down well. You can see I've got Modge Podge here, but we're going to go over the top anyway, so it won't stand out too much, hopefully. Just bending the edges over a bit too as I go. Last time I cut it, there were, yeah, see there's some quite good overhangs there. So if you notice some real big overhangs, you can always like trim them up a little bit. But we are going to rough them up in a minute once it dries a bit more. Alright, so I reckon that's stuck down pretty well now. So what I might do is just stick the other one down. Starlings that live around here, and I tell you what, I swear they see which lights you've got on and then they hang out in the, you know, there and do their little singing stuff. It's very noisy when you're videoing. Alright, so let's get this one on. Too bad, bit of overhang here and there, but I think we will conquer that as we go. You can sort of fold it down. It's a bit over here that I think can come off though. It's a bit better. I just like to run my fingers around the edges, especially. Try and get this off a little bit. Okay, so what I want to do next is I grab a Emery board. It's got an old nail file here. And I like to go around the edges. Just helps get the rough bits off. If there's too much overhang, it doesn't help very much with that, but oh well. If you were using a better Emery board, it might take them off for you. I mean, this probably would bit by bit. Roughs it up nicely so that the next step works good. Yeah, that's coming off all right. I think this is a better Emery board than the one I was using last time. So I just go around all the edges with that. Just helps it curl down, takes some of the rough bits off. Don't want to take all the paper off though. Probably helps if the glue's still a tad wet around the edges too. Quite well actually at getting the excess off. Yeah, that's heaps better. Alright, so I'll leave that one and I'll do the other one off camera because you've seen me do that one. So now I've finished going around the edges with my Emery board. They're looking a bit neater. Don't look at the back, it's got glue all over it, that one. So I want to use up, hopefully the Modge Podge I tipped out, the excess isn't dry yet, and I'll use that up on some of my little cutout bits because I want to go over these. So let's see how we go with this Modge Podge. Yeah, that's stayed nice and wet. So I try and sort of do it just in the one direction and get my fingerprint out of it if I can. And then put them to the side to dry. Do a little butterfly. I should probably use my tweezers. Ooh, Bending my butterfly. Oh well. I'll bend him back afterwards. Where are my tweezers? Not that I'm any good with these things, I tell you. But they're probably handy to hold things while I Modge Podge. Had the most beautiful tomato, basil and bocconcini salad with your balsamic vinegar on the other day, so I had to go and buy some Roma tomatoes and basil to put in the garden. So I planted them out today, which was good. Absolutely beautiful weather. I think it's about 28 or something here today. Now I'm going to clean this last little bit of Modge Podge up because I've got something else to do before we use Modge Podge again, and I don't think that's going to stay wet for too long, so I'll just put that to the side. Now, next thing we want to do is the edges of our puzzle pieces. I've got a finer tip brush here, and I've got my Inca Gold. Now, this is gold Inca Gold. I used to think Inca Gold meant that it was gold Inca or whatever, but Inca Gold is the brand name because I've got red Inca Gold as well. You can get all sorts of colours, and I love this stuff. It is, what is it? Fast drying metal gloss paint. So, but yeah, absolutely love it. So a lot of the time I use it with my finger and just rub it on, but it worked quite well with the paintbrush the other day. So we're going to do that now. I've got some clean water here. You don't have to add water to it really unless it's sort of drying or if you want it a bit thinner. And I found for using it with the paintbrush that I did need a little bit of water. So I'll just get some water in so we can lift it off a bit. Get it on the tip. And then what I did was just paint it around the outside edge of our puzzle pieces so it sort of just goes on the edge. Although I do get it too far in sometimes. I'm not very good, but it doesn't matter. It's a really lovely effect. I think my paintbrush is a bit messed up after the last time I used it. Not very good at looking after these things. So you can just put hints of it on, and as you move the piece, you'll see it. That. So I just work my way around the whole outside of the puzzle piece. Don't know if I've got a better brush than this one to use. This is going to be better, I think. To wet it a bit more. Sometimes I get it a bit thicker than I want, but I will. Like that. Because I'm rushing. So basically I just do this around the outside of both the pieces, which I will do. I'll finish that off afterwards, but I also like to go around maybe one bit of, I did on the other one, I just went around the outside of the bird a bit. So with this one, we don't want to do his legs, but I could just go around just a little bit around the top of him. Although he's only just drying off from the Modge Podge, so I probably should have done this before I Modge Podged or waited for it to dry a bit more, but it's working. You can see that, that's beautiful. I'm going to have fingerprints in my Modge Podge. But it's mainly, I'm doing this mainly for a tutorial to show here's how I did the other one. Don't know if I want it on his beak too much. So I might leave him like that. So I'm showing you anyway. I'll probably go around this bird as well. Whoops, drop him in there would be good. So what I'm going to do is finish going around the outside of my puzzle pieces and go around the outside of the bird, and then I'll be back. All right, so I've finished painting the Inca gold around the outside of both my puzzle pieces. Love the way that looks. And I did do it around my little bird. I didn't do it around his beak or the log that he's sitting on. So I did both the birds. I could have done some of the flowers and that, but I didn't worry about that. I know on this one that I've already made, I did it around the outside of the bird and just the puzzle piece. Okay, so next thing I want to do is seal the puzzle pieces with Mod Podge. I've let the Inca Gold dry quite well, hopefully. Now, I was a bit worried it might run under the Modge Podge or smudge and that, but I didn't have any trouble with it last time, although I was quite careful to try and, you know, not stay over it for too long and rub too much. So we'll see how we go this time. Get a bit more of the Modge Podge out. Again, I try to just go up and down in direction with this so that the lines all end up the same way. Like that. And then I'll let that dry and do the other one. Okay, I'll just move my... Okay, so I have Modge Podged and let dry. Well, it's a little bit wonky, but both my pieces, I think they look really different actually. The paper once it's got the glossy Modge Podge on, so I like the way it looks. But if you don't have glossy Modge Podge, of course you can do this with matte medium, matte Modge Podge, or just your PVA glue would be fine. And I do have some, I was given a whole heap, and I've got some through the op shops and that, your foam squares. So I've been using the little ones of those. Otherwise, I've been using my Helmars glue, I think. And I also have been inking around the edges of some of the pieces just to highlight them a little bit more. I think I might have done it last time with Vintage Photo. Now, the birds, of course, we did the gold around. Might go around his beak, though. We'll see about that. So anyway, we want to do this blue bird first. I better not get myself mixed up. And I might let him sit off the page a bit, so we'll probably use our foam squares for him. So with him, I know I didn't put gold around his beak or the log that he's sitting on. So I might just to get the white bits, ink around those pieces. And while I'm at it, I will ink around the flowers. Don't mind my band-aid. I managed when I was in the garden yesterday to stab my thumb with a garden fork, because I'm pretty special. So don't ask how I did that. It hurt though. So I'll grab some of these squares. It's good to use these up as well. And I'll just start putting them around the place. Try not to leave them so we'll see them out the side would be good. I'm just going to chop these in half, these little pieces, so that we can put one down on his stick. I think that'll be all right. I'll put one just there. And the other ones are stuck to the scissors. Let's put one there. And since we've got some left, we might as well use it up and put it there. So it's full of little dots now, so he's going to sit up quite nicely like that. But what I do a lot of the time is press them down a bit so it's not quite as high. Though you've got to be careful because I always press them down and then end up with dips like I did on the other one I made. So press them down like this. And then we've got to take all this stuff off. Okay, now get it off my finger. Oh, it's so sticky. So let's just put him. It's giving him nice height. And here we go, pushing him down so he's going to be all like bumpy. So there's our bird. So next we've got to decide what we're going to do with the little flowers. Now with these, what I did was leave some bits unstuck so I can sort of curl them up a little bit. You can of course use the foam dots for whatever pieces you want. Stick and not stick, whichever bits you want. Might leave them in a bit so we can still see some of the gold. So let him dry and then I might curl up some of the little bits. And the same with this one, I think. Don't think it's open quite enough. Leave that to dry and then we'll play around with it a bit. Then we've got these two bits. Filling in them everywhere. Now this one I think I like down here. Definitely has to go that way. Now maybe we'll try lifting that one up a bit more. So I'm going to put it's going to look weird or not. It doesn't look too bad. I don't think we need another one on there. So we'll glue down the bottom of this one. Take a little bit of plastic off. It's going to sit up like that. And we can curl those bits up a bit if we like. This one would be nice curled too. Just a little bit. And then these those bits. Did I stick that one down? No, I didn't think so. And these leaves. Oh no, I didn't stick that one down. Just gives it a bit more of that 3D effect, which I like. Now we've got this little one, if I can pick him up, which was going to sit down here, I think. Oh look, I'm just going to put him over there because that's where I was going to put him in the first place. Don't want him sitting up though, not when those angled bits are. Goodness, my glue. Learn to open the bottle up only halfway or something. Just lift those bits up a little bit. All right, so that is it for that one. Unless I decide to add a word. I do have to put my, what are these things called? Eyelets in, but I'll do that afterwards. So we'll get the other one put together, which is this one. Now again, we're going to have to do a bit of inking. So we'll go around his beak, because again I've put gold on him. And his tail looks like it could do with a bit. Otherwise he's quite well inked up, I think. So he's going to sit like that. I still think that he needs to be down, and we'll just lift him around the top a bit. So I'll get this one, put there. I quite like that actually. Now give them a bit of squeeze. So I've stuck his little chest and tail down, and we've got the top of him lifted up, and you can't really see the underneath one unless you sort of look down, which is cool, so that works nicely. All right, so the other little bits we'll ink, which is this big rose. Okay. Oh, I keep nearly, I might just break that bit off because he was sort of off anyway. And annoying me. Let's clean it up. So I've got a little rosebud that will go there. And a butterfly, which I think we liked there. Yeah, because we're going to do the eyelet there anyway. And then we can just lift his wing up, probably that one. And then our rose, which goes like that, I think. So I'm just putting glue on half of it, so if I want I can lift a bit of it up. There's that. Now a little butterfly. Try and get some glue down his bottom end. And stick him about there and lift that side up a bit. And then this we're just going to stick down this little bud. I don't know if I've got enough glue, it might work. He just goes on like that. Depends what the light's like to how it looks, actually. I found that with the first one I made. Trying to get a good photo of it was difficult because it really depends on what angle the light's shining onto how it looks. Alright, so the last thing we have to do is put our little eyelets in. And I decided to go gold because of the Inca gold. So I've got 2 more of those there. These would be really cool. I'm just going to hang or just stand this one up in my craft room somewhere. But you could put them on a cover of a journal or on a birthday card or greeting card or something. I think that'd look really, really cool. So they do have a few uses. A lot better than, you know, I mean that. It is rubbish worthy, but, you know, that looks a lot better, I reckon. I might keep it. So I think I used the big hole for these ones. So yeah, you can put some string through to hang. Or on the first one I did, put a bit of lace through. Just depends what you want to do with it. So there's 2 more of my altered puzzle pieces. I'll find some toppers for them afterwards and decide whether I'm going to hang them or what I'm going to do with them. But it's a fun little project. It's a really cool way of using up those old kitty jigsaws if you've got them lying around and making something beautiful. And it was heaps of fun to use those papers and cut out little bits and try and figure out what to do with them. So yeah, lots and lots of fun. So give it a go. Take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you soon. Bye.